Okay, the next two lights are just a little bit different. That's because they're the ditch lights, and typically they're controlled by functions 1 and 2, or in this case the green wire and the violet wire. Blue remains the same as a common positive, and this blue wire is just a little bit shorter than the other blue wire. That's because I'm going to take this, I'm going to jump it or daisy chain it to here, and then just run one blue wire out to the replacement board just to simplify some of the room here in the cab. As you can see, I've got the other ones there in place already, and when I put them in, I put a slight kink downward, facing down into the cab, so it makes clearance of the truck that's going to be right in here, and then I'll hold them down with some electrical tape so they stay in place and they don't interfere with the mechanism or the flywheels or anything. So I'll do the same thing with these down here, and they will go, you might be able to see, I'm not sure how well the camera's picking it up. You can see the red ones in here, and you can see the headlights in here, and these remaining two will go down here as the ditch lights. Okay, so once you get everything seated, you should have something that looks hopefully close to this. I've got a little bit of electrical tape in there, and I'll probably throw a little bit more just to kind of hold it down a little bit better. But you should have a bunch of blues, or even if you daisy chained it further from LED to LED, you could actually end up with just one blue out of here if you like, but this is just as easy to do as 3 as it is with 1, but either way is okay. You're going to have a white for your front headlights, you're going to have a yellow for your rear, in this case it's going to be the red backup lights, and you're going to have a green and violet for functions 1 and 2, which will be your ditch lights. Now I should have mentioned this before, and I'll put this up here just so you can see. We can also test this real quick. I'm just going to throw power onto the layout. Don't mind the background sound or background noise, it's just a couple locomotives running. But if I were to throw that on that rail and this on this rail, I get my backup lights with my yellow wire. If I were to take, let's just pick the green one here real quick, and I do the same thing, I should have, make sure my blue's on there okay. I'm sorry I'm doing this one-handed. I should have one of my ditch lights, and so on and so forth. So I did this off camera, tested them individually before I put them in the show, and I'm just testing them again before I hook everything up to the board just to make sure everything's working okay, because it's a lot easier to screw with it now and fix something before you get it all put together than after you get it put together and realize you got something wrong with it. So test, and when you're done testing, test it again just to be sure. Alright, this front pad here is where the blue common positive goes. I'm going to solder that in here real quick. I've already tinned a few of the pads in preparation of doing this. There we go. So we'll put that there, and then get that one ready. This is pads 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you can see, I have tin pads 1 and 2 for the green and the violet wires. It just needs a little bit of solder. You don't want to get it all over the board, and you definitely don't want the pads touching each other, causing accidental contact and making it not function correctly. Alright, I'm going to redo the green here real quick just so I get a better contact. Doesn't take much. Okay, after that, the yellow wire will go back here on this pad, which is where one of the light bulbs were originally on the stock light board, and the white goes up here on this pad, again where one of the light bulbs were on the original stock board. And let's put a little solder on that, and we'll put her on the track. and we'll give her a test. Okay, we just have the shell sitting here kind of loosely just to test this out real quick. I've put the power onto the rails, and if I hit F0, I do get the front headlight. If I put it in reverse, I do get the red backup lights. And if I hit F1, I do get one of the ditch lights to come on. And if I hit F2 on the throttle, I do get the other ditch light to come on. Once we get some of the programming done, they'll operate as regular ditch lights normally do. We'll get to that in a little bit. I tried something here, and I'm hoping that it's going to work. Whenever I've used Athearn locomotives and they've had see-through fans, I've always had pretty good sound and sound volume. So what I've done is I've drilled holes through the shell between the fan blades. I was hoping to get them a little bit bigger, but this is about as big as I get without ruining the detail. And I may take a little bit of a black marker and kind of blacken up between the fan blades there. I'm going to take the Mega Bass speaker, and I've just thrown some tape on there real quick just to see if it'll fit well enough. If I like it, I'll trim those down. I may even throw a little bit of silicone caulking on there to seal it in. I'm just going to put that in there and put it over, and this is going to actually act as a speaker box once I seal this in. And the speaker hole, I can show you guys real quick, will actually end up being in essence right through there. So I'm going to wire that up and put that together, and we'll see how that comes out. Okay, this is the SFX004. If you've seen my other videos, you know I use this a lot. It comes with a capacitor. I do recommend using it. And there's a speaker that I've just installed, and we're going to see how that works. And this basically just goes up underneath the replacement board and just kind of snaps into place. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this holding the camera with the other hand, but it's going to go in there and lock in there, and two screws are going to go down and secure it and keep it where it's at. No solder is needed. You can put a little bit there if you like, but to be honest with you, I don't recommend it. And then once we get it there again, we can do another bench test and see how it looks and sounds. Okay, here's what it should look like when it's all done. Just remember when you put these screws in that you tighten them, but don't torque them down at all, because you'll begin to bend the board down here, and then you cause a break and a short and all that good stuff, and it's just no fun. Speaker and capacitor, this white wire that comes with the SFX004, you can just tie it off, or you can cut it off if you want. It's for steam engines. We don't need it for this application. All the wires we went over for the lighting are nice and tidied up in there. I may throw a little bit more tape up in there. And we have track power, and motor power, just as I showed you earlier. And we'll put it all together and we'll do some programming with the lighting.